Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Natalia Moczulska and this is the news. Poland's Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Defense Mariusz Błaszczak is after a meeting with Romanian Defense Minister Angel Tilvar. Supporting Ukraine is important for the independence of Poland and Romania. We are aware that it is evil to recreate the Russian Empire, said Minister Błaszczak. The heads of the defense ministries met with NATO soldiers stationed in Bemowo-Piskie in battalion battle group format.
My w Polsce, jak I nasi przyjaciele,
We in Poland, as well as our friends in Romania, are equipping their troops with the most modern equipment. In Romania, there are HIMARS and Patriots. In Poland, we also already have Patriots. This year, there will be HIMARS. There is an opportunity for cooperation and exchange of experience, building the strength of the North Atlantic Alliance states located on the eastern flank of NATO.
jest możliwość.
This security crisis we are facing now has caused a lot of worry in our countries. We talked about the increase in defense spending as of January 1st, 2023. Romania will spend 2.5% of its GDP. On the other hand, yesterday Deputy Prime Minister Mariusz Błaszczak announced the creation of the 1st Legion Infantry Division in the Podlasie region. The unit is to be equipped with state-of-the-art equipment, Korean K2 tanks and U.S. Abrams. This 5th Division, already in place, will operate between the two already in place, that is the 16th Pomeranian and 18th Mechanized Divisions, so here it is introduced into the space of the Suwałki Gap in northeastern Poland. The war beyond our eastern border was the main topic of yesterday's urgent briefing called by President Andrzej Duda. For the President, of course, the most important aspect remains the issue of the security of Poland and its preparation of the capabilities possessed by the armed forces of Poland. There was also a discussion on the assistance to our neighbors waging war in their Russian aggression against Ukraine.
Omawiane były również kwestie.
Since the new year, there have been many reports of a possible attack on Ukraine carried out from the territory of Belarus. Belarus participates in this aggression because it makes available its military facilities, performs material assistance to the Russian troops, and above all, by its behavior, engages some of the Ukrainian units, which cannot be thrown on those fronts where active hostilities are taking place. So here, the entry of Belarus could be the next step in involving this nation. Russia and Belarus are to hold joint airborne division exercises on January 16th, which will last until February 1st. The Russians have already once tried to attack Kiev from the Belarusian side, and it ended in defeat for them. Here it is an open question what will happen. Certainly a possible attack from the side of Belarus will not be a surprise, since the reconnaissance of forces carried out by NATO countries would detect such a grouping before the attack and would give the opportunity to prepare Ukraine for an effective defense. In the 2023 budget, Poland's defense spending is expected to increase at 3% of GDP, an amount that amounts to more than 97 billion zloty. Day 321 of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Ukrainian Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Malar reported that the Russians have launched a massive attack on Soledar. Fierce fighting continues in the Bakhmut area. In turn, the Pentagon is considering the transfer of armored vehicles Stryker to Ukraine. According to the Political portal, this decision may herald further deliveries, including Kiev's long-awaited tanks. Over the past 4 days, Russian forces have made tactical advances near the town of Soledar. Capturing the town will give the Russians a strategic advantage in the battle for Bakhmut. In addition, seizing Soledar would lead to taking control of the lines of communication reaching Bakhmut from the north. Thank you to all those fighting in Soledar who are enduring successive, increasingly heavy attacks by the occupiers. Thanks to the perseverance of our soldiers in Soledar, we have gained additional time and additional forces for Ukraine. What did Russia want to win there? Everything is completely destroyed. They lost thousands of people there. Every piece of land near Soledar is covered with the bodies of the occupiers and ripped up by shells. This is what it looks like. It's crazy. Ukrainian soldiers agree that the sub-zero temperatures are working in Kiev's favor. In their view, frequent snowfall makes it easier to track the movements of Russian units from the air. Temperatures in Ukraine are hovering around several degrees Celsius below zero. The current weather conditions mean that the enemy has reduced the frequency of offensive operations. The enemy is trying to mask its moves near the front line. We are conducting reconnaissance from the air. Winter always works in favor of those who defend themselves. When it snows, everything is visible, roads and routes through which food and ammunition are delivered. In addition, thermal imaging cameras are more effective, which are useful especially at night. The heated silhouettes of enemies especially stand out in the cold environment. Russians are trying to push through the front line, using ground-based missile systems as well. Fierce fighting in the Donetsk region is a major threat to the people of Ukraine. Thank God, none of our relatives were injured, but we heard that recently shells fell on a grocery store. We knew everyone who was in it. I think my friend was killed in that attack. Debris and soil fell on our roof. We thought another shelling had started. We ran to the site of the explosion to see if anyone needed help. We lived just around the corner. When we turned around, we saw that our house had ceased to exist. Along with the start of the new year, Kyiv's political partners are pledging further assistance to Ukraine in the fight against the occupation. Supporting Ukraine is important, among other things, from the point of view of German policy. These words were uttered by Chancellor Olaf Scholz in the wake of mounting pressure on the government in Berlin over Kyiv's long-awaited delivery of Leopard 2 tanks. I have already spoken with Vladimir Putin before the war, and I want to emphasize that I will continue to do so, regardless of how our views differ. To abandon dialogue is a serious mistake. There are also issues that are not up for discussion, and undoubtedly this is the integrity of the borders of sovereign states. If we keep flipping through the history books looking for borders that are no longer valid, then the wars will never end. Meanwhile, the third declaration of cooperation between NATO and the European Union was signed today in Brussels. The document aims to strengthen cooperation between the two organizations in the face of Europe's security crisis. It also stressed the importance of continuing to support Kyiv from the perspective of maintaining unity among the signatories of the agreement.
Big losses in Ukraine due to the brave Ukrainian soldiers and the professionalism and the dedication of the Ukrainian armed forces, but we should not underestimate Russia. They are mobilizing more troops. They are working hard to acquire more equipment, more ammunition, and they have shown a willingness to actually suffer.
We'll keep doing everything in its power to support the brave people of Ukraine. We will keep the pressure on the Kremlin for as long as it takes with a biting sanctions regime. We will extend these sanctions to those who militarily support Russia's war.
According to analysis by the International Monetary Fund, the past year has taken a toll on the condition of the Russian economy. This is a result, among other things, of the numerous sanctions imposed on the Kremlin. It is estimated that in 2023, Russia's GDP will shrink on an annualized basis, even by more than 5.5%. Russia has the tools to defend itself from the impact of Western sanctions. I'm thinking of oil and gas exports. The main strength of sanctions is their long-term impact, so you have to fight to seal them. Since December 5th, a maximum price cap on Russian oil has been in effect, set at $60 per barrel. In addition, an embargo has been imposed on Russian crude exports by sea. No country in history has ever been burdened with such an extensive array of restrictions. The Dresden trial of 6 men accused of involvement in the robbery at one of Europe's greatest art collections appeared in court again earlier today. The men are accused of having stolen jewelry containing more than 4,300 diamonds, valued at 113 million euros or $121 million in 2019, from the Green Vault Museum in Dresden. Most of the jewelry had been recovered by Germany police by late December 2022, after negotiations between prosecutors and the lawyers of the defendants. The judge presiding over the case said earlier today that the deal and the recovery of most of the jewelry could positively affect the sentence, should the accused also admit to the crime. Some of the pieces, such as an epaulette on which a precious stone known as the Dresden White Diamond was mounted, are still missing. In December 2022, there were also further developments after German police divers searched a canal in Berlin looking for clues into the heist. In January 2022, the accused made their first court appearance. The defendants, German citizens aged between 22 and 27, who are not named under German privacy laws applicable to court defendants, are charged with aggravated gang theft and serious arson, according to the Dresden Public Prosecutor's Office. All the suspects are in custody. 2 have already been sentenced to 4.5 years in prison for involvement in stealing the big maple leaf, a 100-kilogram gold coin worth 3.75 million euros from Berlin's Bode Museum in 2017. The stolen Dresden collection was assembled in the 18th century by Augustus the Strong, Elector of Saxony and later King of Poland, who commissioned ever more brilliant jewelry as part of his rivalry with France's King Louis XIV. The treasures survived Allied bombing raids in World War II, only to be carted off as war booty by the Soviet Union. They were returned to Dresden, the historic capital of the state of Saxony, in 1958. The Green Vault is hoping for the recovered jewelry to be shown again once the trial is finished, and the jewelry is no longer considered evidence. According to the Director General of the museum, security measures in the museum have been drastically improved since the robbery. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Please stay tuned for Poland Daily Weather, Poland Daily Business, and some of our other programs. But for me, it's have a wonderful evening.